Fiancés, 23 female. Older sister, 26 female. Confessed that she felt rejected by me, 26 male, and I'm the reason her life is a mess. This might not seem like a big deal to most people reading, but it's become a big deal for me and my fiancé. So when I was 14 I became best friends with a girl, let's call her G. When we were 16 we started dating. Spent all our time together. Basic teenage love stuff. During this time, I became close with her little sister V who was 13. V and I were always friendly with one another, some teasing, some fighting, but just general kids being kids. So G and I dated for 4 years and ended up breaking up when we were in college because we wanted different things in life. I was fine with having only G as my partner for life, and G felt like she'd be missing out on her girls just want to have fun days. This was obviously a pretty rough time for me, for G, and for our whole friend group. The relationship was basically gone for several months, dragged along by our unwillingness to let each other go. She proposed an open relationship several times and I just couldn't bring myself to agree to it. During this time, V got pretty angry with her sister G because V, by that point, saw me as part of the family. I found out later that V and G got into regular fights about G's inability to commit to me. At the time V was 17 years old and G was 20, so it's not like V could really force G to do anything. Eventually, G and I broke up, and our 4-year relationship and 6-year friendship came to an end. I felt that the right thing to do was probably distance myself from V as well, because being as close to V as I usually was would mean that I'd never quite leave G's life. This ended up backfiring because it made V very upset, and she basically interpreted this to mean that V and I were never really friends, and I was only tolerating her for G's sake, out of guilt or out of some selfish desire to not lose yet another piece of my life. I acquiesced to V and we stayed friends. This was in 2014. By 2015, V was 18 and I was 21. She came to the same college as I was in, and we were good friends. I always kept some distance with V out of respect to G. This means that no matter how friendly I was with V, I never really talked to her about really personal stuff or my romantic life. She was a good friend, but not a close friend. Then in late 2015 there was an incident where V behaved extremely jealous towards a girl I was casually seeing. There was another incident in early 2016 where V was found to be crap talking a different girl I was seeing. And when I confronted V about it, V basically confesses that she has developed feelings for me. I shut that down immediately because every part of it felt totally and viscerally wrong. But at the time, V assured me that G was okay with it and her mom was okay with it too. She puts all her cards on the table and says that while she understands I view her as a kid, she'd like the chance to at least date me and change my mind. Obviously she succeeded, because as of February this year, she and I are engaged. We've been together for 5 years now, and it's by far the best relationship I've ever been in. The only problem is that it turns out V lied about one thing at the start of the relationship. While it's true that her mother loved me and was totally fine with V dating me, G was never ever okay with it. In fact, G was very much not okay with it and had been vocal about this to V. G never said any of this to me because she and I were no contact. All of this is coming up now in 2020 because G is over our apartment for the week, and on day 2, yesterday, she gets drunk and blurts out how I upgraded to a younger, prettier model by dating her little sister. V was already passed out by this point, so she has no idea that G said these things to me. But at the time, I got defensive and said that G was okay with it at the time, so why does it bother her so much half a decade later? Then G told me the truth about how she was never okay with it. But then she found out that I agreed to give V a chance, and it broke her heart, and she tried to let go of the jealousy she was feeling. And now, 5 years later, she still feels intense pangs of jealousy, all made worse by the wedding planning for our 2021 marriage. G says that she regrets asking me for a breakup, and the single life wasn't worth losing love for. She assured me that she wasn't trying to break V and myself up, or trying to get me back. She said that she just needed me to know how she really feels. She also attributes these feelings of rejection and loss as the cause of her depression. which incidentally has derailed her life for the last 4 years, so the times match up I guess. What's the right move here? Do I tell V about G's confession? Do I pretend like I didn't hear any of this? TLDR, knew G since I was 14, dated her since 16, met and became friends with G's sister V. 4 years later, G wants freedom to be single, so G and I break up. V and I stay friends. 1 year passes and we stay friends, but not super close. V shows signs of jealousy towards girls in my life. V asks me to give her a chance to date, and assures me G is okay with it. 5 years later, V and I are engaged to be married next year, very happily in love. G drunkenly reveals to me that she was never okay with it, still isn't, feels rejected, blames rejection on her 4-year-long struggle with depression. Do I totally ignore this? Tell V about G's confession? I think you tell G you're sorry to learn she's been struggling so much with all this, but you are not in fact responsible for her life not being what she wants it to be at the moment, and you hope she's able to sort that out for her own sake, with a therapist's help, if needed. That said, you do also need to talk to V about why she felt the need to lie to you about everyone being totally okay with the situation. Frankly, you should probably also spend some time asking yourself why you allowed yourself to believe that. It is true that you're not responsible for G refusing to move on, but V's apparent lack of sympathy for why you being around all the time would make that harder should have you asking some hard questions about who you're really marrying here, and whether you really want to be in the middle of all this drama when there are literally millions of other non-related women you could be dating instead. I think you're right that I should have questioned V a bit more about G being okay with things. At the time, G was totally out of my life, and V was still my friend, so I didn't think to doubt her. In V's defense, G lives in a different state. I only ever see G twice a year at Christmas. Our hometown does a huge multi-family Christmas, and V's mom's birthday. It's not like V was parading me in front of G all these years. This is also why I never knew about G's true feelings, because I've never had a real conversation with G outside of politics or hometown nostalgia, etc. over the years. This is a complete mess. Tell V you said it won't change things between the two of you, but hopefully it will let the sisters clear the air, and then G can be rid of you both. G dumped you and remained silent all these years, so it's not like she is faultless in this utter catastrophe, but yikes do you and V come off heartless. Honestly OP, the decent thing would have been for you to reach out to G personally before you decided to start a romantic relationship with her little sister, like less than 2 years after the two of you officially ended. V was manipulative and self-centered in the fact that she would hurt her sister, who she seemingly had no real issues with aside from her treatment of you, which was clearly colored by V's feelings for you, should concern you, though the fact that you didn't care enough to actually check with your former long-term girlfriend before you decided to start blowing her little sister helps me understand why her behavior might not. Aside from letting the sisters hash it out, you should breach the subject with V so you can learn more about any other shady things she has done. Again, G is not faultless in all of this. She broke up with you, and she could have spoken up about her feelings any time in the last 5 years, but dude, come on. Not entirely related, but out of morbid curiosity, given the timeline of things and V's childhood crush on you, I'm dying to know if you were both of these sisters' first time. I'm not convinced that V was manipulative in this. There's still a chance that this was a misunderstanding between what G expressed and how V took it. I haven't spoken to V yet, so I can't know for sure, and I'm the only sexual partner V has ever had. Not sure how that's related here though. So let me get this straight. You dated a girl, you all break up. Her little sister, who has had a low-key crush on you for years, guilt trips you into staying in her life, ends up at the same college as you, and actively tries to ruin your relationships by crap-talking other women and acting catty/jealous toward them. You decide to entertain her crush, even though you didn't know about it the whole time, by going on a date with her. She lies to you and says her sister is okay with it. You all are now engaged, and you are upset with her older sister, the one you dated first, for telling you, drunkenly, that she was upset and never okay with it. Does G have buyer's remorse? Perhaps. Was it just Hooch magnifying her feelings? Probably. But she isn't in the wrong. V lied to and manipulated you. Then lied to her own sister, G, and manipulated her so she could have you. I know you are in love with V, as evidenced by the fact that you are engaged, but please understand this. V plotted, manipulated, lied, and schemed to be with you, and hurt her own sister in the process. For years. This is an issue, and honestly speaks to selfishness, or at the very least emotional immaturity. Did G's confession come at a bad time? 100%. And what else would she really say? But the person you should be mad at is V. Her immaturity is showing, and her actions make it seem like she's the young girl you knew growing up. You can no longer trust her to give you the truth at face value. She kept this huge secret for years, and again, actively tried to ruin your other relationships. That's not romantic, it's creepy. If she was this determined to have you, who knows what else she will say/do to get what she wants in the future. I'm not saying V is evil, but I would really deeply consider your future with her. While I appreciate your response, I'm not really posting here about who's right or wrong, and who to be angry at. I'm not angry at either G or V. I thought there was some sort of bro code about not dating sisters? Dude, how did you ever think that was a good idea? Sounds like a Jerry Springer episode. Only bro code I know is with other dudes. I don't know. I didn't read the other comments. But who you love is not anyone's problem but your own, not this. It's your ex's fault she did not get the help to learn how to get over you. Everyone has to learn how to get over a breakup. Unfortunately, it's hard when you are high school sweethearts. Many people believe they peak in high school, and I feel bad for them. One of my exes was like that, and she knows she screwed up with me. I hope she found her way, but honestly it's not my problem. Same with G. She's not your problem, and she needs to know that there's not just one soulmate for us. That's just silly talk. Good luck, bro. That's actually a really good point about peaking in high school. G basically said that the days when I loved her were the best days of her life, and technically speaking, all of that was during high school and early college. I hope she finds her way out of this swamp she's in too. Thanks, brother. This sounds like a Joe Amy Laurie from Little Women situation. That ended well, so maybe there's hope for you? Most of what you just said was a foreign language to me. Can you tell me what happened in that situation, and how it ended? Joe and Amy are sisters. Joe becomes best friends with the boy next door, Laurie. Joe and Laurie never date, but Laurie eventually confesses his feelings for Joe. Joe rejects him. A couple years later, while abroad together, Amy confesses to Laurie that she loves him and always had. They get engaged. Before Joe finds out about the engagement, she realizes she wants to be with Laurie and plans to tell him so. But then Amy and Laurie return home and tell everyone the news of their engagement. Joe is crushed. She eventually finds her own love and realizes it was never meant to be with Laurie. Everyone lives happily ever after. 'Tis a very abridged version of Little Women. Oh, that would be a tremendous progression to G's situation. Yeah, it's fiction. Real life doesn't tidy itself up so neatly. Worldwide comments of the day. She's putting her son in a bad position. Either he tells dad and deals with the outcome, or he doesn't and becomes dishonest as well. At a minimum, you gotta tell your dad what you suspect and why. Whatever happens after that happens. Tell your mum you know, but if it still continues, and let your dad know. James need to go. Look for evidence. Keep James out of your life and have nothing to do with him. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more interesting and relatable Reddit videos.